Look what I found in the field. Our dad left it. It's time to go for a spin in the 540 CVX. This is a 2021 model. 540 stands for the horsepower, 540 horsepower. So it's got pretty close to the same horsepower as our Series 2 Big Bud. A little more, and I know this thing boosts a lot higher than that one does though. It probably boosts up to close to 600 horse when it's done. But the CVX drive is the special thing with this tractor, being able to go through speeds, not necessarily based off your engine RPMs, is what's amazing. So you can set the most efficient speed for the engine burn and power that you need, maximize your gallons per hour, and keep things cool and running smoothly. Dad's been running the Steiger quite a bit lately. He's just doesn't want to get out of it, understandably. He did say though that the 770 footer that we've got on the back of this thing does pull easier than the 57 foot that he had on it earlier this year when he was doing P's. He says, as he can tell, significantly, it just doesn't pull as hard, which is awesome. A little less fuel burn. So that's good. And these toolbars are doing a pretty good job. Little minor things here and there, usually just hoses and, you know, blockage systems, and just kind of getting everything tightened up because we just transplanted it all from the other toolbars to here. So there's just a lot of stuff that we didn't have quite lined up where we wanted it. But overall, I think we got the bugs worked out of the system. So let's fire up the Steiger. Let's go do some planting, seeding. That's right, seeding. Over here, we've got our engine display. So this is all of our transmission engine temperatures, everything you need to know about your systems. Nice there, this is the Pro 1200. Very nice system, very nice monitor, very clean, very sharp. And this is our newly added cameras for the 3850 cart. We got one in our 4350 cart. And I think the lenses need wiped off, so let's go do that right now. Where did they put that camera at? I think it's right there. Right. Ah, there it is. Oh, is that it? There it is, right there. I know, I should use my fingers because your fingers have oil and the oil will attract more dirt. But I can't reach my shirt under there and I don't have a rag. So fingers what's gonna work. Well, right off the bat, I'll tell you one thing. It is really quiet in here. For being 1970s, the Big Buds, you know, they do well. But they'll never get the type of soundproofing that this cab has. That's why you guys always see me wearing one of these on. Because it's just loud. And these have speakers in them, so I can Bluetooth listen to what I want to listen to quietly in my ear instead of blasting my ears with speakers in the cab. Everything's running pretty smooth. So let's talk the transmission. Well, my dad set this thing up to do right around 5.2 miles an hour at 1400 RPM, which is really low. That's below the power band on this engine. And I was a little skeptical when he said he was doing that. I was like, I don't know. I think that turbo needs to, you know, wrap a little higher. But if you look over here, it's only saying it's using 48% engine load. And if it's only using 48% engine load, that means the tractor's not being worked hard. So, if that's all it's using to pull this, why burn the extra fuel? And that's what's awesome is this fuel rate right now is coming in 11 to 10 gallons per hour. That's amazing. So, I'll just keep playing with it. But that's nice to sip the fuel instead of drinking it. One thing pretty neat about the spot I'm on right now is this is where my future house is hopefully gonna be built. Our utilities run right over there, and I'm hoping, if all goes to plan, we'll get a house built within the year. Well, I should say within a year, probably the first part of next year. But yeah, I'm enjoying the views. If you look right over there, you can see the Rocky Mountains. You guys probably can't see them, but they're there. And they're covered in snow, and they look beautiful. And over here, I got the Sweetgrass Hills, more like mountains. They used to have, well, they got a little snow on them, but they're melting away. But it's kind of a high point. We're gonna get hit with wind, but we're gonna have a great view. This is why we need sectional control with our drill. Look at that. What is that? 10 feet out of 70? I'm overseeding 70 feet right now. just the way this field's working out. There's nothing I can do about it. So maybe we'll look into that in the future, but that is a problem. We are contemplating possibly widening these 70 footers into like 72 or 74 feet. It can be done. Just a little bit of fabricating, which you know that we can handle. So we might add 2 shanks to each side or 1 shank to each side, and that might give us just enough more width that the overlap when we do these fields will come out pretty close. So that way we won't be doing this. Now, not all fields are like this. Every field's shaped a little differently. So some, you know, there might be a 20-foot overlap, 5-foot overlap. This one is a 60-foot overlap. Just got the notification on my monitor here saying that tank number 3 is low. I looked up at my camera and sure enough, it is low. And my tank 2 is about empty, so I sent a text off to leg arms saying, hey, I need seed. And look, there he is with a seed truck. Literally a second after I sent the text message. I'd say probably one of the most weird things, if that makes sense, about driving a CVX transmission is the clutch pedal. It's still there for safety purposes. You still take it out of park and put it in forward drive, but I find myself giving throttle and letting the clutch out slowly. You don't need to do that. I can just drop the clutch pedal and the throttle's back to idle, and I don't have to worry about killing the engine, because it's just like your car with like a torque converter, you know. It's not, I should say torque converter, but it's just like your car, you know. You can put it in drive and you just put your foot on the brake and you don't have to worry about giving it gas or anything. Like, there's basically, it's just waiting for me to give it throttle. As soon as I give the multi-function handle some forward position, it'll start accelerating to where our presets are. And then if I want to stop, I just pull it back to stop, and it just stops, and there's no clutch pedals. But our other tractors, there's a lot of clutches in them, and everything's got clutches. And even the power shift of the Steigers and the Quadtreks have clutches in them. So you know, when you go to completely stop, unless you use the neutral button right here, you have to put the clutch in, otherwise you're going to kill the engine. So definitely kind of a just rewiring your brain again. It's always something like that. And then it's funny, you know, it's just, I spent a couple hours in the big mud yesterday. I jump into this and I find myself grabbing for things that are in the big mud. And I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, that's right, yeah. Different tractor. So, human brain. Now, I went ahead and bumped the RPMs up to about 1500 RPM. I just figured another 500 RPM is probably just a little easier on everything. This, though, this is your presets for your throttle position. So this is your lowest range. So if I pull that back, that's the absolute lowest RPM the engine will go. If I crank this up, then it'll go a lot more. Same with this is the top end. So if I don't want the tractor to go above 2000 RPM, I can pull this back a little bit, and that'll put the top end limiter, so that way when we rev up to 2000, it'll stop and won't let it go more. So I'll pull this one up a little bit to get about 1500 RPM. There we go. Just leave it there. Now, where would a CVX transmission benefit you the most, besides your fuel economy? Well, personally, I think for a grain car it'd be amazing. You would be able to, just with the dial on the multifunction handle, match the speed of the combine right alongside of you without any hesitation at all. Super easy. If you need to stop real fast, you pull back, no clutch, no worrying about engaging, disengaging, just simple. Now, I've heard silage is really good for, pushing silage, but when it comes to like this, seating, once you're moving, it doesn't really give you a whole lot more benefit other than your efficiency, a little better efficiency with the fuel burn. But the starting and stopping is a lot easier with this and matching speed than with the power shift. A lot of people make a lot of comments, respectably so, including myself when I first saw it, on how gigantic and enormous all this exhaust system is on the side of the tractor. No, that does not increase the horsepower of the tractor. It does not necessarily help the efficiency of the tractor. But what it is way better than most of the other options out there, and I'll tell you why. Yes, it's obnoxious, it's huge, but the reason that's awesome is because of environmental regulations between treating your exhaust. There's only a couple ways manufacturers can do it, and one way is EGR, exhaust gas recirculation. And what that basically is doing is taking your exhaust and pumping it back into your engine to go through a second time, which is terrible. Carbon, soot, all kinds of stuff. It's not full of oxygen like your engine needs. It's like basically breathing into a big bag and then sucking all that air back into your body again and then breathing it out again. Yeah, your body doesn't want that. You are the reason you breathe it out. It's you don't want all that stuff back in. It's terrible, and it destroys engines, and it makes things run hot. They've got to run these engine temperatures up super high to be able to burn the particulates out properly. And it's unfortunate, and I don't blame the other manufacturers for having to do that, because they have to meet regulations. To be able to sell their tractors, they have to do that. Well, what's nice about this engine, these FPT engines, is they had a patent put out that let them treat just the exhaust. So there's no EGR system, there's no exhaust going back in that engine. It's 100% clean air going in there from the atmosphere. And then the treating only happens with the DEF side over here in this giant water tank of a water heater thing. So, would you rather have an engine run hotter, be dirtier, and not as efficient, and not last as long, but get rid of that thing? Or would you rather have that thing and have a clean burning engine that doesn't get as hot, that's more efficient, and that lasts longer? That's the dilemma. So I hope I shed some light on the situation. So here we have our Pro 1200 display. I want to show you guys a couple things on here. Definitely pretty cool options. So as you can see, we've got a nice, beautiful display. There's tabs at the bottom here, just like the old Pro 700, Pro 600 have, similar to that, except for this one, these are very customizable. So if we go to 7s are ISO bus. So our Flexicoil air carts are ISO connected to this tractor. And you can see this is the interface that I have running the Flexicoil air cart. So you can see here I've got my seed rates. I'm putting on 40 pounds an acre of fertilizer, which is like nothing, and 65 pounds an acre of seed. I can customize and adjust that as needed, real easy, real simple interface. If we want to customize one of these tabs, like let's just say we go to 4, got a nice black area right here. Let's hold my thumb on it for a few seconds, then hit yes, customize the screen. Want to add something, let's go ahead and add a camera. Yeah, sure not, wow, there we go, perfect. Save it. There. Simple as that. So now I just added the front camera of the tractor on this run screen. So you can pick what you want, depending on what you need. You can see obviously we're mapping right now. We're logging the yield data, or not the yield data, the mapping data of our seeding here on this field. It's a very long field. In fact, actually, hey, look at all that stuff. I don't know what I was doing there. Also, for tractor systems, it's really simple. Up here, you just tap this icon, go to tractor, say we want to adjust our fan speed for our air cart, go remotes, rear remotes. We're on remote, which I like to call green, but it's actually remote 4. Open this up right here. We have it 70%. So if I take this and I crank this up to say 79%, if I go back to my ISO, my fan just jumped to 5,000 RPM, which is faster than I need. Let's go back to the remote again. Change it back down to 70. Go back to our ISO. As you see, it's dropping back down to that 3,800 where I want it to be. This does have all lockers and the differentials. It's really simple. You can do auto. Auto automatically will engage the lockers depending on if it needs it. If it senses wheel slip, it'll grab it and go. If I want to manually add an axle, so I can do the front or rear axle depending on what I want to do. So front and rear together, simultaneously, disconnect. Now I'm back to non-differential locks. Another thing that's really nice is the multi-function handle. Besides your transmission controls here, like your speed dial, forward, reverse, and your presets for your speeds up here, the F1, F2, F3, you also have the ability to add remotes up here. So as you can see these colored remotes here, well, the first remote, which is a red one, we have set on this here, so I can actually press up and down to raise and lower my toolbar from just the multi-function handle without having to worry about touching any of these remotes. And that is really nice. You have your GPS up here, and then also a bunch of other buttons if you want to customize depending on what you need, as well as down here. So a lot of functionality there. The seat, extremely adjustable, really customizable however your body type is. You've got air conditioning, heating right here, your air ride adjustment if you want ride height up, ride height down, lumbar adjustment, you can tilt the seat forward and back, up and around, leg length, you can lengthen the bottom of the seat in and out. Your swivel, you can lock it or let it swivel back and forth. Overall, it's one size doesn't fit all, so they made one that hopefully will. I hope. I almost forgot, so this is your hot button. You don't want to touch the screen, your hands are oily or you're in a bumpy field, you just can't seem to press what you want on the screen. You can go over here and tap this hot button, bring up your menus, HVAC. It's a little cold in here, the AC is way too strong. Tap it again. Let's set it to temperature. Click it, let's turn it up a few notches, let's go to what, 68, 69, 70. 70, let's do 70, perfect. and then press the return button. Or say I want to change my remote speed for the fan and I don't really want to do it here. I can just tap this icon right there, and as I turn the wheel, you can see my fan speed is going to be increased and decreased because I'm changing the flow percentage. And just like that, now I'm in the field next to Legarm's home site. I'll be careful not to drive in his hole. I think the whole tractor would fit in that one. It's big. I'm actually not entirely sure how much room here he needs. So I'm just gonna seat into airways, and he can drive over whatever crop he wants. But at least the crop will be there to help push back any weeds that are gonna be growing here.
It's my turn. My turn to drive the 540 Case IH Steiger. And I'm liking it a lot. Like a lot. It's absolutely incredible, the transmission that's in this thing. It's just super smooth and fluent, and you're not used to, I'm used to like shifting gears and you can feel each gear lock in, and it's different. It's nice, it's just different. It's kind of weird, but also exciting. I'm farming around my future home. Never had to do this before. Well, there's a first for everything, so today's the first.
I'm the gopher. And the gopher gets to drive the truck. Make sure the truck's got seed, fertilizer, and get to the guys back, and run parts back and forth, and all that good stuff. So it's good. I actually like doing this every now and then. It changes things up. You're not in the tractor seat the whole time, but sometimes this is where problems happen because you forget to pay attention to certain details when you get back in the tractor, and then you're like, oh, I made a mistake. So anyways, let's go to Legarm's, bring him this seat.
What is this? Third day of seeding, and have about 1,200 acres seeded so far. So we're rolling. We're going to get shut down possibly this afternoon. Little shower coming through, and then we'll have another couple days. But then they're talking on, which would be Friday, bigger rain event, which might shut us down over the weekend. So we'll see. But we're rolling right along. It's fun to have this toolbar taken out 70 feet at a time, and the bud running, and Kobe sleeping. Kobe, are you sleeping? No, you got to bend your ear back. He keeps asking me to put windows down on the floor so he can look out. I think he's cozy. Kobe, cozy Kobe. All right, let's get back to seeding. Okay, we're in the same field. So this is what I see. And this is what Kobe sees. Good to have a height difference, isn't it?
Just about done with the hours in this tractor. Got two left. Dad's right over there in the 600/50. We're in the same field together. Gonna line up here, do some seeding together. It'd be fun. 140 feet to working together in a 160 acre field, so that'll be fun. Gonna miss it. But the Series 2 big bud's up. So as soon as we get this back, unhook this thing, get the Series 2, the 525, hooked up, and start transplanting all these things, and then get it back in the field. And we're back in the yard. And the tractor is out of hours. So, demo time has officially ended. So now we start the sad process of unhooking everything and pulling all the gear out of the cab. And parking the tractor. Then I'll wash it off, get it cleaned up real nice. And then we'll send it on its merry way to its new life down in California. But it's been fun. It's been a really good time with this tractor, it really has. Let's start peeling stuff apart. It's windy out there, it's kind of nasty. Weather kind of changed, but it's a great time to drop the cart, get the other big bud fired up, bring it over here and make sure it's good to go. All right, we just got it all swapped over to the Series 2 525. It's always fun. Took about 4 hours of putting in the blockage monitor, the camera system, had to put a new cigarette lighter in there, and then of course getting all the hydraulics hooked back up and everything. So we think we're ready to go to the field, but got a little bit of a system coming this way. So I don't think we're gonna take it quite yet because we might get rained on a little bit. So we'll hold off, see what happens to that, and then pick up from there. Yeah, it's coming down. Okay, shutting down. I don't know if we'll get back up tonight. Probably tomorrow.